Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to Journey Through the Innerverse. This is our first official episode, and I
Hey,
am really excited
I
to
definitely feel that me
share.
as well.
Yeah, so thank you so much for listening, for choosing to listen to this episode. And we hope that you will enjoy journeying through the Innerverse with us as we will be discussing dreams, astral travel, and mysticism. So definitely follow us, subscribe to our channel, and journey with us. So I am Urania, better known as a celestial timekeeper, aka astrologer as well. And I have recently fully devoted essentially my life to dream work. I've always had vivid dreams, and I have done a lot of astral travel or trance meditation. And I've just had a very active experience in life in between worlds, right? In between realities, so to speak. And as of a couple of years ago, I decided to really devote myself to doing this intentionally, doing the dream work intentionally, for my own healing and self transformation. And so naturally, I have begun to share what I've experienced, and that's how I met Alexis. And we've had some amazing conversations. Initially, it was on my YouTube channel, but you can also check out all the replays, the past live streams that Alexis and I have done on our YouTube channel, Journey Through the Innerverse. So, Alexis, welcome in. So excited to be here and doing this. You want to
Thank you
introduce
so much.
yourself? Yeah.
Absolutely. My name is Alexis. I am a Oniranaut, dream traveler, dream witch. I kind of go through a lot of those. They just sound fun, but it's what I experience. I've been lucid dreaming since I was 3 years old, and going off of what you said, I really have had that deep connection to that in between of the worlds for so long, and experiencing such intense things in my unconscious as if I'm awake, um, going into the other worlds or just what my brain creates. It's been such an incredible experience and has healed me through my life, if not just something I can go to when things are really not great. I know when I was a teenager, it was like, all right, I'd get home from school and I would go to bed and I would just dream. It was like things were just too hard. So I'm going to go to sleep and go to a different world and go to a different realm and exist there for a little bit. But yeah, dreaming has been such a huge part of my life. And my goal here is to really help people talk about it and pay more attention to their dreams and how they can interweave the unconscious and the conscious to help them heal and grow. It's such an important aspect to our lives, an important gift that I don't think people really think is as important as it is anymore. It has been swept under the rug for so long. And really opening the conversation and hopefully inspiring people to, travel down that road into themselves and, find who they're supposed to be. Meeting you, I feel like, was divine timing. And even just like how we met, like I was following you for a while and just randomly one night after work, like I literally looked like crap and I felt bleh. But I saw that you went live on Instagram to talk about dream work, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna check it out because this is what I enjoy, and an opportunity is basically being given to me to learn more. And you had been talking about prophetic dreams or precognitive dreams,
Yeah.
and I chimed in and you were like, hey, you want to come on and like tell
Right
us
on the
about it?
spot.
Right on the spot. And I don't usually do that, but there was something in me that was like, you know what, I'm going to do it. And we had a wonderful conversation, and we like linked up and just have been having these wonderful conversations ever since.
Yeah.
And I'm so thankful.
Yeah, it was just so just organic how it happened, and literally ever since we have been having these conversations. Like, you were really the only, there were others that showed up to be on live, but you were in the moment. Whenever I was on Instagram live, you were like, I'll do it, because I just called out randomly. I'm like, okay, for the people watching. And I remember at some points it was only you watching and I was like, okay, just come on camera and have these conversations. And yeah, it just evolved into this beautiful space and podcast that we have created together. And so we're really excited to see how everything evolves. And one thing I do want to point out too is that when you mentioned that you would come home and just like want to go to sleep to like escape and go somewhere else, like probably more fun, I absolutely relate to that, as I wasn't putting a lot of emphasis on the dream space in itself, but there was a period of probably about 6 months where every day I would wake up and I would do my astral travels, which was like essentially me laying on the ground with crystals. And I would be listening to, singing bowls or any high frequency music. And I would have, a cover over my eyes, and I would be gone. And it was so much fun. And it was crazy that I was able to have these in between dreamlike experiences just in that really deep meditative state. And so I just want to circle around and define dreams, what dreams are, as Alexis and I were kind of talking about this before we started recording. And it's just a beautiful hole to go down, right? Because
Yes.
we all know essentially what dreams are, but how do we personally define them? And so I was sharing with Alexis recently, I was having a discussion with someone about this, and I was asked this question. And I've answered it in many different ways. And what came to me naturally in that conversation is what I really resonate and is in alignment for what I hope to experience in this podcast. And so the way I have defined dreams is that essentially it's a shift in our perspective, a different point of view. And so many of us know the concept of the fact that our bodies are, a vehicle, our bodies need that rest. And when we go to sleep, our soul or spirit doesn't necessarily sleep, right? It goes on and does other things. So this is when we experience that shift in perspective. And the journey when we're sleeping, or the journey the soul takes, essentially is inward mostly. Like, so then you're going deeper into, your layers of your psyche. And in addition to that, you can astral travel, or maybe we're moving through other layers or realms of consciousness, that being the collective consciousness. And that journey within itself is, at its core, my perspective is that it really is there to help us better understand ourselves in relation to the world around us, right? And we wake up, from the quote unquote dream into the waking life, and we desire to integrate that, right? And that's kind of the dream work, is where you keep that recognition, you write your dreams, especially personally, I write it with the intention to integrate my conscious and unconscious mind in my dream and waking life in order to make better decisions. So that's kind of my perspective on dreams and what my intention is for like even my dream work. So did you want to add anything?
I was gonna say, I think that you did a wonderful job talking about just the basic idea of what a dream is. And like, honestly, it's such an abstract thing. One could say from like a more, scientific aspect, is that your brain is problem solving while you're sleeping. And like that makes sense. But it seems like there's just more to that. When
Mm-hmm.
you're actually experiencing everything you experience as a dreamer, I mean, it really is like one foot in one realm and one foot in the other through your life. It's the if you don't experience it, or like you don't remember it, you're not going to have an understanding of that intensity. But living in your dream realm is just as powerful and as important as being in your waking realm. And I think one of the things that you had said, I don't know if you said it just now, but um, when you talked about with me earlier about how dreaming is a journey, that hit home. That hit home
Mm-hmm.
so intensely because that's what it is. You know, it's the experience, it's the journey, and it's continuous until your life ends, you know, and who knows if it even ends at that point, because
Yeah.
we don't know what's next. And I feel like dreaming is gives you just such a different connection to yourself and in this existence than anything I can anything else. I personally just, you know, I'm not the most educated person. I don't know everything in the world. So I'm sure there's other experiences that you could connect to that. But this is just such a unique and powerful experience that one definition doesn't do it.
Yeah.
One thing doesn't explain everything.
You
Like
kind of just have to do it. Yeah.
it's like all the definitions probably like spiritual, scientific, psychological, they probably all exist within that space. And I think that's something that I enjoy too, is like all these things can exist in one space.
Yeah.
Dreaming isn't necessarily one thing, it's a lot of
It's all
things.
connected. Yeah. And I have done the quote unquote shadow work. I have, I've been studying and practicing astrology for since 2005, and a lot of my practice is ritual. Like, I strive to be really disciplined with my practices, especially the past 3 or 4 years, like since the pandemic. And when you have the discipline, and especially when it comes to dreams, when you're able to write them, I tend to recommend for people to make some sort of 28-day commitment. And the reason why 28 days is that connection to the moon, the vibration of the moon. You're holding or creating a sacred container as well for your practice. And when you write your dreams and, pay attention to your bedtime routine, you will see the patterns. You'll see, what needs healing. You'll see your strengths, right? Your weaknesses. And that is really important for the type of growth that maybe you didn't even know you needed. And as I was saying, I have done a lot of shadow work. And when I made that commitment to really be disciplined with the dream work, I had the most profound healing that I've ever experienced, like within a spiritual practice and within, even just traditional ways of healing. Dream work has been the most profound. And also, of course, we're always healing, and there's so many layers that are being revealed. But I would say that dream work, it brought forth accelerated healing. Like, it was pretty much, instantaneous, at least what was revealed. And then, of course, you need to reflect and integrate. And then there's more layers that are peeled away so that it's an ongoing process. And,
Mm-hmm.
it's a thing.
Absolutely. It really is. It does not stop, you know, until our time ends. And like I said, we don't even know if that's really where it stops.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I find that um, it's so interesting to think about, you know, what if what if the next thing after this is just like dream, like a dream into another life, you know, like
Yeah.
how does it how does it integrate into beyond our understanding?
Mm-hmm.
There's just so much. There's so much to think about
And
when
we're
it
going to
comes.
really explore a lot of this. Like, this is
Yes.
why we wanted to do this podcast, and we created this, is to really explore these topics and have these conversations, with each other, but also we invite you to have the conversation with us. For most of these, pretty much every episode, we're going to record it live, have a live chat on our YouTube channel, Journey Through the Innerverse on YouTube. So definitely subscribe, and you can join us every Wednesday, 9 p.m. Eastern time, unless we, specify otherwise. And we really like to engage with you all on these topics and, just what's coming up for you, what's your perspective, or if you have any questions. We're students, always students of life. And so
Always.
we're learning, we're studying, and we are just sharing our studies, our experiences, and just what is interesting and fascinating to us with these topics.
Absolutely. And I think something too that I find really enjoyable about dreaming in its own self, in its own sense, is that there's no like goal. Like there's no one
Mm-hmm.
goal. Like
Mm-hmm.
everything you do with your own personal dream work is only for you. You go at your own
Mm-hmm.
pace. You understand things at, you know, the specific timing that you're supposed to learn it.
Yeah.
You integrate it and you go as you go. And if you're not I'm not consistent. Like I think that's one of the
Yeah.
most wonderful things about meeting you is that you are very disciplined, and it's rubbing off on me. Very like
It goes in waves, that's for
I'm
sure.
not, yes, it comes in waves, but it rubs off on me, and I start to kind of be a little more disciplined. Not even nearly as much, but even if it's just me writing down a dream every week, it's helpful. Or talking to your friends about it, relaying
Mm-hmm.
this dream out loud, saying it out loud. And
Mm-hmm.
even though having that documentation of it is important, just speaking out loud kind of solidifies it in your brain and helps you like
Mm-hmm.
remember and think about it more. But there's it's so personal. There's no bar you have to reach. There's no competition with it. It's so personal to yourself, and I find that just so beautiful because we're kind of in a time where everything seems to be very competitive, and everything has to be you have to come we compare ourselves to other people and their
Mm-hmm.
progress and stuff, and I feel like dreaming is that one place where you don't have to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. And everyone's, because the dreams are so unique to everyone, even the dream symbols. Like you can have the same dream symbols, but the way it even shows up in your dreams in comparison to someone else is completely different. And
So
even like with me, I've talked many times about my dream symbol being a car. And recently I learned that my mother and my grandmother both had recurring dream symbols of a car. And in their case, they could never find their car. In my case, it's always a matter of who's driving and where are we going. And so it's really interesting to think of, reflect and consider the general, understandings of the dream or the dream symbols, and then your own personal, unique connection with that dream symbol or like the dream within itself.
absolutely. And on top of that, you just have infinite content too. Urania and I dream often. We're always talking about our dreams, if not on the lives, through like personal messages. And there's just always something new, always even if we have repetitive dreams, there's something new within the repetitive dream.
Mm-hmm.
Something new to explore. So it's never ending, as we mentioned before. I feel like at this point, like I'm probably just repeating myself, but it
Right.
gets very, I get very excited.
Right. Yeah. And that's like the meat, that's the juice. And it's so important to have a space where you can share your dreams because, as Alexa said, we share with one another all the time and we have our own personal interpretation. And then we share with each other and then receive, each other's personal interpretation. And a lot of the times it's like an aha moment, like another light bulb or another layer is revealed to that, and it makes, I feel like it's so expansive and it's exciting. And again, this is one of the main intentions and inspirations for creating this podcast in this space, for not only us to share but also with you all to share. And so we are also offering that if you desire to submit a dream, we will share your dream anonymously and interpret it during our podcast and our live chat. If you are wanting to submit your dream and have us share and interpret it, you can do that you can send it an email to theinnerversepodcast@gmail.com. It'll be in the description of the video, in the description of the podcast episode as well on Spotify. So yeah. Anything else that you want to add? Any last words?
I just hope that everybody who listens finds inspiration and just joy of being within the community. You know, the more that we all come together, the more that these things can be brought to the surface, the more we can understand ourselves and each other in this existence. And the web of knowledge around dreaming just continuously expands. So we hope to see you every week or,
Yes.
for the replays.
Yes. And yes, we hope to see you. And if you have any ideas on topics that you would like us to chat about, you can also submit that to that email address, or you can just comment it on any of the videos or the episodes on Spotify, as Spotify now allows you to leave comments. So that's great. Thank you everyone for listening, and we will see you very soon in our next live chat.